Hi guys, Jeff Westfall here again with some square stance training. So as we talked about in the Geometry of Combat video, sometimes it can be beneficial to train as if your target is right here in front of you. It actually should be thought of as being in an arc somewhere between this shoulder line and this shoulder line. For example, let's take my hook punch. If I throw a right hook punch, it's going to hit its greatest power somewhere around this shoulder line. And of course, my left hook will do the same thing somewhere around this shoulder line. So they don't hit their sweet spot at the same place. So it's possible for you to have a target right here and hit it twice with two hooks. Nothing wrong with that. But one of them is going to, either one or both are going to have a little less power than they otherwise might. Having said all that, just the coordination of learning how to move in this structure is really useful. So our first drill is going to be alternating hooks. Twist the foot. This is really good for beginners to learn how to marry their footwork with their upper body work, that you twist the foot of the hand that's punching, and then you put the other heel down and make a good structure, a good base with it. You don't want to take that foot, put it down, pointing that way. You want it to be more pigeon-toed, so that when you are twisting, you get this nice stable base with the knees pinched in and the toes turned in. So our first hook drill is simply alternating hooks. I very quickly, once you start to get a feel for things, like to go into threes. So this would look like this. You would do right, left, reset. Left, right, left, reset. Really good way to keep you from getting too much into one groove or the other, and to get a certain rhythmic feel with the combination. Staying with the hook, we're now going to do threes with the same one. So I will load by putting my left shoulder forward to load my right hook. I will throw the right hook and I bring my left shoulder forward again, throw the right hook, bring the left shoulder forward again and throw the right hook. So from here, that's 1, 2, 3. Definitely a slower rhythm, definitely more power on your hooks because of the loading effect. So this would be a good thing to practice on both sides. And of course, you can mix between what I was doing before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in that fashion. You can mix them any way you want. Okay, that's good enough for basics for the hook. Now let's talk about some of the other punches in the curved punch family. Technically speaking, a punch doesn't follow a curved path because all kinetic energy is in a straight line, but I can talk about that on another day. These are curved deployments. So let's talk about the uppercut. Okay, when I uppercut, generally what I want to do is point my opposite shoulder like a gun sight at what I want to uppercut. I lower my level and I point that shoulder at what I want to hit. So now I pretend that I'm going to punch right through my own shoulder up this way. And the same thing, I dip the shoulder. It doesn't have to be to the center. It can be over this way more, it can be at the center, and it can be aimed over that way. I'm always going to uppercut at wherever I was aiming it. And just as with the hooks, probably your optimal uppercut with the left is going to be over here on the right shoulder line, and with the right is going to be over here on the left shoulder line, more or less. You can do the same distribution with the uppercut that I showed you with the hook. You can alternate. You can throw the uppercut, point the shoulder, throw the uppercut in whatever numbering system or a mathematical combination you want. Overhands. The overhand is simply the inverse of the uppercut. So again, I'm going to point my shoulder at what I want to hit. And when I point that shoulder at what I want to hit, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to hit the top of that shoulder. Boom. Now I want to hit the top of this shoulder. Boom. Although the extension of the overhand is a little bit beyond that shoulder, it's good enough as a sighting target or a sighting tactic. I look that way, that's where I want to throw the overhand. I can aim the shoulder that way and overhand right down the square line. So just as with the hooks and with the uppercuts, I can distribute them in different mathematical ways. I can aim them at different points within this arc. It's also possible, by the way, to throw your curved techniques outside of this arc naturally. That's what a boxing stance is. But you start to lose your power as you start to get over into here. So in my square stance, it's perfectly possible for me to throw a hook almost all the way over to here and almost all the way over to here. You can definitely relay some kinetic energy over in those areas, but here's your maximum zone, somewhere in here. You can also do the same thing with elbow strikes. I can be right here and simply turn my body and elbow strike. And that can be diagonally up, diagonally down, horizontal, a lot of different ways that you can practice the elbow strike within the same structure. So that's not that different from the hooks. Let's talk about straight striking, straight punching. This is not your optimal structure for straight punching, but it's important to know that, you know, push comes to shove, you can throw a strike right down the center there. Now, is that a cross or is that a jab? Because of the fact that it's this way, it's exactly on the dividing line between a straight right hand or a straight cross going that way, or a jab going over here. So it's like there's two hemispheres or two quadrispheres where the jab goes out to about there. By the time it starts to get to split, it's no longer a jab. It's a split. It's not a cross yet. By the time it gets over here, it's a cross. So I'm probably being a little silly by giving this its own distinct name, but it is important to understand that I can throw a straight punch that goes right down the pipe like that. That angle is probably better for making connections, which we're going to look at in a future square stance training video. But we can strike on that line as well. Another straight punch that I can throw from the square stance is the vertical straight punch from the hip rather than from the shoulder. So in this case, I'm going to sit my weight over on this heel. Actually, the heel will be up, but I will sit my weight on the foot, and I will throw a vertical punch, and a vertical punch, and a vertical punch. This is a little more solid than, say, a jab might be. It has less reach. And this also can blend nicely with the split punch, so that I can throw this one and turn it over into that one, throw this one and turn it over into that one, in that fashion. So all of these can be drilled as individual techniques in the way I've shown you. And that's very useful. It's not as fun as combinations, but it's really good for your coordination. We will look at going into some footwork and going into some more complex punching combinations and striking combinations in a future lesson. Take care, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.